Hello, class. This is your Professor John Harvey, and here we are in week 12 of the semester. It's amazing how quickly this is going. I really appreciated reading all you guys' insights and getting into this course. We're going to blink and it's going to be over here. Between Thanksgiving break and the last little bits here, it's going by very fast. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying the class, enjoying the book and the material. Um, I've been enjoying learning learning this semester, this course, and thank you guys for your patience again through all that. So this week is chapter 13. We're talking about sustainability. So just a kind of a fancier word for talking about the environment and environmentalism. So the book has a good kind of basis on, what should a corporation's responsibility be to that environment. So, there's an idea that if we can calculate the loss or the full cost of some sort of environmental action, should that be something that the corporation pays into or pays um, in order to do that stuff, or maybe we need more rules in order to hold the corporations more responsible. So take logging, for example, right? If a company, is cutting down a tree, are they planting another tree in replacement? If they are, it takes a while for that tree to be replaced to that same level of height and width and all that kind of stuff, and so there's still kind of an extra cost there. In the meantime, that tree isn't fully replaced. If they damage the water supply, do they need to replace that or, fix that? Those kind of things. I can tell you this didn't used to be such a thing. People used to be like, oh, whatever, that's silly. But this whole climate change thing and people's perspective on the environment really has changed, and we all tend to agree, whether it's regardless of your political affiliation. I think um, there definitely seems to be a concern for the environment and concern for using resources, carefully. And so this kind of goes into that and saying, okay, how can we build this to be more sustainable so that we don't have this issue going forward? Um, One of the things I like to bring up at this point is the idea of, Earth's resources. And so this idea that we're using it all up and that it's a zero-sum game. If I use it, then it's getting lost and it's, can't be replaced and stuff like that. So the example I like to give out is this idea of land. People tend to think, hey, there's only so much land, and so if I buy this land, then that's all the land there is, and nobody else can get to it. And so there's only so many, acres of land available and stuff. Well, I can tell you, I spent a week over in Singapore, and they're growing that island. It's called reclamation. They actually dig up dirt or stuff from the ocean floor, bring it closer to the island and pile it up, and then they let it sit there for 10 years. And after 10 years, it kind of settles, and then they can build on it and do stuff with it and put that on. So the island of Singapore actually is getting bigger, right? I think China's trying to do that with some island out in the middle of it somewhere, so you take something that you would think that's just it. There's just so much land and that's it. Not the case. We actually can make more land. Go figure, right? So this idea of oh, crops, we only have so much space to grow. Well, we find that we're getting more efficient with our growing of crops or something like that, and water. We go, oh, there's only so much water. Well, we found ways of repurposing water and reusing it and stuff like that, So this idea that we have just this limited supply and that we're depleting it, it can be a fallacy, Now, the rate that we're using it is one thing. Do corporations need to take into account? Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I had heard about was like companies that make jeans or something. They dye the jeans and all that water that they're using for that was going in and polluting some sort of river or something like that. I mean that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely needs to be addressed. But we need to be careful of this mindset, and say, well, we really understand every kind of consequence and repercussion of the environment, because we really don't. We're finding more and more about it. So that's something to be aware of. So how we hold these corporations responsible and what we expect of them, we need to kind of, take that carefully, because we could be forcing them into something that, maybe isn't relevant, or, is misunderstood, or, might be something that we find is actually damaging. Like what if we force companies to change out, certain gases and refrigerators, because we think, it's pollution, right? But the stuff that we're putting in there is, actually causes more. We find this with carbon emissions all the time, right? Where we think, oh, we're doing this thing, and we're using electricity, so we're having less of a carbon footprint. But it's like, well, in all reality, where's that electricity coming from? And we don't think through that part of it and go, yeah, if you really track it back to the source, that's using actually a lot more carbon. So all those kinds of things to say, when we're looking at sustainability, something does need to happen. We do need to track that, but you can tell that there's kind of a bend in there, and there's an assumption made that scientifically, I think, could be challenged if you look at some of the data there. All right, so just because we are talking schedule-wise, the ethics and reality is due at the end of the semester, and I'm already seeing that some people have posted to that. So, we got the group assignments and all that seems to be working just fine. The question now is that final paper, that final group assignment. In the documentation, it indicates that it's going to be some sort of video, and I've been hearing some people being concerned about that. So I will throw it out to you. I will try and change it on the site here a little bit, but I am open to, if you want to do a paper instead of a video, I am open to that. If you want to do a video instead of paper, I'm just fine with that too. Sometimes the videos can go easier. You record everybody doing a section, you have somebody who knows how to, slice that stuff together, and you post it on YouTube. It's a no-brainer. It's a done deal. Everyone talks for 5 minutes or something on their section, and it goes by really quick. And that way you kind of guarantee everyone gets a part in there. But if you want to do a paper and you feel like that's what you want to do instead, I'm totally open to either one. The assignment area shows that you need to embed a link or some sort of document into it. So we're going to keep with that. What I am going to throw in here is that I do want you to include notes from meetings. So, so if you look through that paperwork and the rubric and all that, the intent here is that you do work as a group, that you do discuss the material and you do discuss the assignment. So the whole goal here is that you guys interact with each other in this material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to require that you have some notes from at least 2 meetings, 2 separate meetings, and include that into the assignment. So if it's a paper, you're going to just do that. If it's a video, you can just attach that and just add the notes from that into that piece there. But I want to see that you guys actually got together and talked about it, right? So you just pick somebody to be a scribe, and they just write down and say, yeah, Janet said we should do this, and I thought we should do that, and we agreed that so-and-so is going to do this, that, and the other thing. Just some notes to show that you guys are meeting and discussing the material. That's in keeping with the spirit of the assignment there, right? The other thing is I'm going to look to make sure, just like on the discussion boards, that you are commenting on 2 other assignments. So part of the reason why this paper thing is due a little bit earlier, I think it's not like due on the last day of class, is you need to go in and respond to the other people's posts. So I'll be looking at your individuals' stuff and be looking to make sure that you guys respond to 2 other assignments, right? So you can get some feedback and stuff like that. And lastly, I know how these group assignments work. They're always frustrating because you get people that just don't show up and don't do anything, and they're just kind of slackers. And then you got other people that are like, hey, this is my grade, I got to do something, and I can't just, ignore this and have it not get done. So I'm working on this. I'm going to try and figure out how to kind of put it into the structure, but something to where you guys will be able to bust the other people in your group for not attending these meetings and not participating. So something where you can anonymously, like, give a score to your fellow teammates or something like that. And then I'll take that into account into the overall grade for that person, right? And again, this is just off the top of my head. I'm just trying to work through it. But something to the point of, like, if you got a B on the assignment and two of your classmates said they didn't do anything, I'll drop your grade to a C, right? So you'll lose a grade on that assignment based on your peer feedback. If two of them say you haven't responded or haven't done anything, then you're out. You're going to lose half a grade on that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll work through that part of it, but right now the revision is that it could be a paper instead of a video, and I do want to see some notes from meetings from you guys, so that I know that you guys are interacting with the material. And then just know that when these assignments do come in, you are to respond to two of them, two others. So that way we get some feedback and people kind of have that conversation. I think the discussion boards have been interesting, and you guys have done a great job of, hey, what about this? Or I like this part. And so I think for the most part, you guys have done a good job with that. So I think it's worth, if you put this much effort into a final assignment, more than just my feedback, it's good to get your peers' feedback on that. All right, guys. Like I said, I'm traveling next week, so probably no video. And then I think the week after that is Thanksgiving break, so there'll probably be a little while from a video from me. But I am totally available by, phone, email, discussion board, all that kind of stuff. So reach out to me if you have any issues. And like I said, I'll try and update the documentation on the website, but I want to give you guys the heads up as quickly as possible on that. All right, guys, with that, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.